Ohio State just got some really good news in the press conference leading up to the college football playoff quarterfinal game against Miami. Ohio State fans should be very happy about this kind of stuff going on. Not necessarily because it's like terrible stuff that happened and then it's good stuff that happened now. It's just the way the season has kind of gone, and after what you saw against Indiana and those different kinds of things, there's good news coming for Ohio State, and there are three pieces of good news that happened that I think Ohio State fans are going to be very excited about going into the Cotton Bowl against Miami. I mean, number one, and this isn't even news that came out. I mean, you're gonna most likely have the most fans there. Miami fans do not travel super well. I mean, obviously, we'll see. Are they excited enough for this one to travel around a whole bunch? But this is going to be a very pro Ohio State atmosphere there, as I'm sure it's a very pro Ohio State atmosphere watching this video as well. If you would, please do like, subscribe, let us know your thoughts on the Ohio State Cotton Bowl matchup. Like if you think Ohio State is going to win this matchup over Miami. If you don't think they're going to win, let me know what you think in the comment section below. First things first, let's get to Ryan Day said that he is taking over play calling in this matchup. Brian Hartline is no longer the play caller. You could say he's been demoted. It's kind of a different way of saying it, but I teased this a little bit on Twitter after the Indiana game. Got some. Somebody told me that Ohio State might change up their whole situation with Brian Hartline a little bit. I thought that might mean that he might be out the door and only at USF. And I think right now, with everything that's going on with this program and kind of how Brian Hartline has been operating, offering an Ohio State commit and Angelo Smith on Sunday, you can't be in the building offering players who are committed like that. I guess it'd be one thing if it was like a recruit that Ohio State is recruiting. I don't know, maybe that'd be worse, but you just can't do that if you're Brian Hartline. And I'm not saying that's why he's not calling the plays or anything like that, but it has kind of soured people a little bit on Brian Hartline. Not as the person. Everybody at Ohio State will always love Brian Hartline, the person, the player, and everything, but the way he's kind of leaving Ohio State, he's not doing anything wrong, just kind of rubbing people the wrong way. Well, I guess you'd say offering Angelo Smith probably was wrong. I think he should have waited on that one. I think that was a really bad decision by him to do that. But sounds like Ryan Day is going to be the play caller in this one. And honestly, like, it's good news. I think that Ryan Day is a much better play caller than Brian Hartline is, and that's nothing against Brian Hartline. This is his first season calling plays. However, you're not going to see a whole lot of different stuff, I don't think. I think you're going to see different mechanics of the play calling that's going to be helpful, but I don't think you're going to see like a ton of different play packages and stuff like that. I think there is a possibility that you'll see more aggression. That could definitely happen with play calling. But the thing that needs to change for Ohio State more than anything is the red zone play calling. We saw it in that Indiana game. They went with far too many tight end sets. Now, there are rumors that Carnell Tate was injured, and that's kind of why that happened, or maybe he was still limited. And that's why he wasn't in there in the red zone. He only played 41 of the 56 offensive snaps that Ohio State had in that game. So he was kind of taken off the field a little bit more. But Carnell Tate has been such a deep threat for them this past year, and they weren't able to get him the deep ball as much in that game against Indiana because they did a really good job. So, biggest thing for Ohio State is yes, play calling in the red zone has to be better. You have to spread out the team more, and you have to give Bo Jackson some more running room down there. And notice how I said Bo Jackson. You need to give the ball to Bo Jackson. And we'll see, like, Ryan Day, as much as he is a really good play caller, we do need to also remember that there were some complaints with Ryan Day when he was the play caller and not running the game as well. I think now with more experience running the game and him not calling plays but still being involved with play calling and stuff like that this season, I think you're going to see a much more adjusted Ryan Day for that kind of stuff, but it is definitely something to think about. The other piece of news that we got in this press conference was that Jeremiah Smith came out and talked about how he was not 100% playing against Michigan and really wasn't 100% that he was going to play against Michigan. He was concerned that he wasn't going to be able to play in that game at all. Of course, it was a UCLA game where he started limping and people were very concerned. He did preface that he did not get injured in that UCLA game. He got injured in practice, but it sounded like this injury took a big mental toll on Jeremiah Smith, talking about how he's never really been injured like that before. He didn't use these words, but it sounded like maybe he had some anxiety moving forward. What's things going to look like? And Ryan Day talked about how he just basically told Jeremiah Smith, look, we're going to win this Michigan game with or without you. Obviously, we want you with us, and he's a competitor. He wants to play. But more than anything, this is great news for Ohio State because going into this Miami game, Jeremiah Smith is going to be completely healthy. And as much as I do respect Miami and their defensive line and all these guys down there, I do think that Ohio State is going to have a really good chance to utilize Jeremiah Smith in some creative ways. I don't know if they're going to go off and have a game like they did against Oregon, but I could see them utilize Jeremiah Smith in some creative ways like they did against Oregon. I don't know if Julian Sainz is going to throw up some of those 50-50 balls that Will Howard did, but just using him in motion, kind of getting him out in space, seeing some really good blocking from some other wide receivers out there, because Carnell Tate and Brandon Inniss are fantastic blockers, and they need to be recognized for how good of a job they do out there. But overall, I think that they're going to be more encouraged to use Jeremiah Smith. He's going to have the the mentality of like the injury and that stuff away. We have no idea how much that impacted him, and it wasn't addressed in the press conference, but I also feel like there was probably a little bit of that lingering injury, or maybe the lingering mentality of that injury that was there as well. So he got injured the week leading up to UCLA. In the week leading up to UCLA, that was about a 3 to 4 week injury, they said. So if we go to, let's go to ESPN Ohio State and just look up the schedule really fast. I'll show you myself. There we go. Full schedule here. You look at that UCLA game, November 15th, the week before that. That's just right after 4 weeks, right, of not playing or not being available to play. So you're looking at, what, he maybe got injured on November 11th or 12th or something like that. That's still within 4 weeks there with December 6th, that Indiana game. So if you felt like Jeremiah Smith didn't play as well as he maybe could have in that Indiana game, that could have been it. And you got to recognize with these athletes, if it's their first time being injured, it's not just the fact of like, oh, that maybe they're hurt and they're not playing as well. Sometimes, like I said, it's that mentality. It's not being injured before and not really having to deal with stuff like this, and that can impact things as well. All right, we're gonna get the creepy eye off the screen now. Sorry to put you guys through that creepy eye down there, and gals, you guys and gals. All right, last one here. Tweet by Dave Biddle said that Tegra Tshabola, and I believe this was confirmed in the press conference as well, Tegra Tshabola is out for at least the next couple of weeks with an injury. I'm not trying to say that Tegra Tshabola being out is good news. Please do not hear me say that. What I am saying is that Gabe Van Sickle played well in Tegra Tshabola's absence, and Joshua Padilla is also apparently an option. They will both play right guard for Ohio State versus Miami, and really the good news here, like I said, is not that Tegra Tshabola is out. The good news here is that Ohio State has a deep offensive line. It really has paid off for them to have 3, 4, well, one now, but, because he went on to be the offensive line coach at, I believe it was Arkansas, Marcus Johnson. He's the offensive line coach there now. But to have 3 guys on staff who were all offensive line coaches at major programs, he had obviously Tyler Bowen, who was even an offensive coordinator. He was tight end coach, recruiting guy, offensive line guy. He's done it all. And then you had Marcus Johnson and the name of the other offensive line coach is escaping me right now. But to have all of those guys who all have experience as offensive line coaches having a room to themselves to be there, it really shows how valuable it is when you have guys like Gabe Van Sickle and Joshua Padilla both being able to play in this game with Tegra Tshabola out. I'm not somebody that dislikes Tegra Tshabola as much as some other people in the fan base do. I think when Tegra Tshabola is on, he plays really, really well. When he played in that Michigan game, he played really well, and I was really impressed with Tegra Tshabola. But in that Indiana game, he wasn't as good, and it sounds like there might have been some lingering injury there as well. We also do need to preface nobody's 100% healthy at that time of the year. You're later on in the year. Nobody's 100% healthy. No player is 100% healthy. You just kind of have to fight through it. But some guys, it does have a harder time to be able to fight through it because you are a competitor and maybe you are more injured than you realize. You've lost a step. That's when the coaches need to come in and say, hey, man, we're going to sit you down. We're going to have these guys go in. And that's the beauty of this situation. They don't have to push Tegra Tshabola into this kind of stuff. They have the depth in a Gabe Sickle and a Joshua Padilla. But let me know you guys' thoughts. I obviously don't be trashing Tegra Tshabola in the comment section, but let me know your thoughts on this situation. Are you encouraged that Gabe Sickle and Joshua Padilla can come in, or do you think that Ohio State's in trouble not having their right guard in this game against a very good defensive line for Miami? Would love to hear your thoughts and would love to see you in the comment section. Please do like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, and like this video if you think Ohio State's going to win. If not, let me know down in the comment section why or why not. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.